My name is Charlotte, and I married Mickey when I was 25. We met at a party. Mickey always told me, you can be a stay-at-home wife if you want. My income is enough for us to live comfortably, but I loved my job and kept working at the company I joined right after high school. In the second year of our marriage, I decided to quit my job. The reason was a phone call from my father-in-law. He told me my mother-in-law had collapsed. I cared a lot about my kind and gentle mother-in-law. Since Mickey couldn't leave work, I rushed to see her alone. When I arrived, she smiled weakly at me from her hospital bed, surrounded by tubes. She wasn't in immediate danger, but her condition left her needing care. We had to decide who would take care of her before she was discharged. At first, I thought Angelina, my unmarried sister-in-law who lived with her parents, would handle it. She worked mostly from home, so it seemed logical, but Angelina firmly refused. She even told her mother in the hospital, I'm not just sitting around at home, I can't take care of Mom, you need to manage yourself better. Her words shocked me. How could she say something so cold when her mother was unwell? Later, Angelina called Mickey and insisted on a meeting at the family home. Mickey and I went there to discuss the situation with Angelina and my father-in-law. At the meeting, Angelina repeatedly said, I can't take care of Mom. I don't know how to manage the housework now that she's unwell. Father-in-law, who had always relied on his wife for everything, also didn't seem willing to help. Mickey tried to convince Angelina to take care of their mother, but she refused every time. It became clear they were expecting me to do it. I felt attached to my job. I'd been there since high school, but I couldn't stand watching the family argue and push the responsibility onto someone else. My mother-in-law had been so kind to me, and I wanted to support her. So, I made my decision. I said, I'll quit my job and take care of her. We'll live together from now on. Please treat me well. My father-in-law thanked me warmly, saying, Thank you, Charlotte, but Angelina didn't seem happy at all. Mickey asked me, Are you sure about this? If it's too much, we can hire a professional to take care of Mom. I nodded and said, It's okay. I felt I owed a lot to my mother-in-law. Hiring a professional would cost money, and I worried it might make her uncomfortable. I believed it would be better for her to be cared for by family, even though I was just her daughter-in-law. I knew my father-in-law wasn't someone who handled responsibilities well, and Angelina had a mean-spirited personality. I was anxious about living with them, but I quit my job, moved in, and started our new life together. Living with my in-laws turned out to be even harder than I expected. Mother-in-law's health made her feel frustrated and embarrassed. She often apologized to me, saying, I'm so sorry you have to take care of me, even for something as simple as helping her to the bathroom. Seeing her like that broke my heart. On top of that, Angelina's bullying became a heavy emotional burden. I came from a family without much money and had worked since high school instead of going to college. Angelina often mocked my education. For example, while eating the food I cooked, she'd talk to father-in-law about work and suddenly say, Oh, sorry, Charlotte, this conversation might be too complicated for someone who only finished high school. I shouldn't have brought it up. Or she'd say, You're just a lowly high school graduate daughter-in-law, so at least take care of Mom properly. Mother-in-law would scold her whenever she overheard, saying, Don't say such things to Charlotte. Angelina didn't like being scolded, so she started badmouthing me behind my back when mother-in-law wasn't around. She'd say things like, I have a respectable job, and Charlotte's just a high school graduate. It's only natural for her to do the housework, but at least cook something that tastes good for once. It's always terrible. One day, while I was cooking, she said this again. I even thought about not serving her a meal at all. Despite everything, I held back. When Angelina found a spot I hadn't cleaned perfectly, she'd loudly say things like, Wow, the trashy daughter-in-law can't even tell the difference between dirt and trash. Look at all this garbage piled up. Even then, I didn't respond. I didn't want anyone, especially my mother-in-law, to find out that Angelina and I weren't getting along. It would have been too much for her to handle. When my mother-in-law asked, Angelina isn't being mean to you, is she? I'd smile and say, I'm fine. Mickey often worried about me too, asking, Are you sure you're not pushing yourself too hard? I lied to him as well, replying, I'm fine. Mickey worked hard under a strict boss, and I didn't want to add family issues to his stress. My father-in-law, on the other hand, acted like he didn't notice how much I was being insulted. To him, it probably didn't matter what Angelina said to me as long as someone was taking care of the housework. I reminded myself why I was doing this, for my mother-in-law, who had always been kind to me, and for Mickey. These thoughts kept me going as I cared for her for an entire year. Then, one day, my mother-in-law passed away peacefully in her sleep. At the funeral, Angelina accused me through tears, saying, "Mama died because you didn't take proper care of her. You're such a useless, trashy daughter-in-law." Her words hit me hard. I had done everything I could for my mother-in-law, but now I couldn't stop wondering if it was my fault. Maybe I had missed something, and maybe I wasn't good enough. During the funeral, I felt completely numb, like an empty shell. Mickey was kind and tried to comfort me, but Angelina kept making comments whenever he wasn't around. After the funeral, Angelina kept saying things like, "You're really useless." With my mother-in-law gone, there was no reason for me to keep living with my in-laws. One day, as I stood in my suit looking at her empty bed, my father-in-law approached me and pleaded, "Please, Charlotte, my wife has passed away, but can't you continue living with us?" He couldn't do any housework, and I couldn't imagine Angelina stepping up either. It was clear he wanted me to stay on as a housekeeper. I was shocked, but more than anything, I was appalled that he'd make such a request right after my mother-in-law's funeral. I thought, this man only thinks about himself. I didn't answer right away. I told him, "I need to consult with Mickey, I can't decide on my own." He clung to me, begging, "Please, I'm begging you," but I stood firm, saying I'd talk to Mickey first. The conversation ended without any resolution. A few days later, Mickey said to me, "Charlotte, Mom has passed away. There's no need to live together anymore. Let's move out and live just the two of us. You've been through so much, haven't you?" I felt a huge sense of relief. I wanted to end this cohabitation too. With my mother-in-law gone, there was no reason to stay with Angelina, who insulted me, or with my father-in-law, who treated me like a housekeeper. Grateful for Mickey's understanding, we decided to leave the in-laws' house and start fresh as a couple. Our plan to move out was completely crushed by Angelina. "What? I won't allow you to leave," she shouted furiously when Mickey and I told her and my father-in-law about our decision. "Saying something like this right after Mom's gone is too heartless." Mickey defended me, saying, "It's not heartless. Charlotte took really good care of Mom. She deserves to be free now." Angelina snapped back, "A high school graduate like her can't find a job now. If she can't be useful to society, she should at least stay here and do housework to be useful to Dad and me." Mickey stood up for me again. "Charlotte was excellent at her job. You have no right to talk to her like that." Despite his protests, Angelina stormed out of the room, yelling, "Neither Mickey nor Charlotte is leaving this house." The discussion ended abruptly. But Mickey wasn't deterred. "We can just leave on our own," he said, and began looking for a new place. I started preparing for the move too, balancing housework and property searches while keeping things orderly to avoid Angelina's complaints. Unfortunately, Angelina noticed and started sabotaging me. When I organized our belongings, she'd scatter them around, shouting, "Heartless person, I'll never let you leave this house." When I made calls to real estate agents, she'd snatch my phone and tell them, "Please ignore that conversation, it's not happening." Her behavior became completely out of control. Mickey confronted her every time, but she just screamed back, "Your wife is the worst, you have no eye for women." Nothing ever changed. One evening during dinner, when Mickey and I were at our wits' end, Angelina suddenly spoke to me in an unusually cheerful tone. "Charlotte, tomorrow my fiancé is coming over. I know you're a useless piece of trash, but try to use your brainless head and read the room, okay?" I was used to being berated at the dinner table when Mickey wasn't around, but the word fiancé coming out of Angelina's mouth caught me off guard. I couldn't help but think, there's actually a man in the world who wants to marry her? It was rude, but I was genuinely shocked. Throughout dinner, she kept telling me to be a good girl tomorrow, and I responded vaguely, ending the day doing housework as usual. The next day, Angelina dressed more stylishly than I'd ever seen her and brought her fiancé, Randolph, to the house. He wore a well-fitted suit, was polite, and seemed intelligent. Again, I thought to myself, why would someone like him want to marry Angelina? As I prepared drinks, I overheard their conversation in the living room. Angelina was speaking in a sweet, cajoling voice to Randolph and my father-in-law. "That girl you saw earlier is Mickey's wife. She can't do anything. I do all the housework in this house, and I worked so hard to take care of our late mom. Honestly, I think Mom could have lived longer if that girl hadn't stressed her out so much." I froze. Her words felt like a slap in the face. I had been holding back for so long, enduring her insults so I wouldn't burden Mickey or my mother-in-law, but this time, the anger I'd suppressed all year came rushing out. Everything, every chore, every moment spent taking care of mother-in-law, was my work. Angelina never helped with anything. Determined, I walked into the living room with the drinks. Smiling, I greeted Randolph. "Hello, as you were introduced, I'm the high school graduate, bottom of the barrel, useless trash. Nice to meet you." Angelina let out a panicked shout. "What are you doing?" But I continued calmly. "Angelina really guides me well. She evaluates every meal I make as tasteless, laughs while calling me trash cleaning trash, and blames me for mother-in-law's early passing because of my so-called incompetence." Angelina snapped. "What are you saying?" She stormed over and yanked my hair, screaming, "Stop it." Randolph looked shocked and confused, stammering, What is going on?" I felt sorry for him. Clearly, he had never seen this side of Angelina, but I hoped this moment would make him rethink marrying her. I felt like I had saved Randolph from a terrible situation, so I excused myself mentally for causing the chaos. "Well then, the trash will leave now," I said before walking out of the in-laws' house, taking only my valuables. Father-in-law sat silently, not wanting to get involved, while Angelina raged furiously and Randolph, near tears, tried to calm her down. Watching their reactions felt oddly refreshing. I left and went to stay at my parents' house. When I explained everything to them, they were shocked by Angelina's behavior and father-in-law's indifference. "Do as you please from now on, Charlotte," they told me. For the first time in a long while, I relaxed and felt at peace. That evening, Mickey came to my parents' house after a long day at work. He had been yelled at by Angelina, who blamed him for everything. Unable to get a straight answer from her, he learned from father-in-law that I had left and came straight to me. "We should have moved out sooner," he said. "I knew my sister and father had been tormenting you, and I'm sorry I couldn't stop it. From now on, I'll always protect you. If you'll still have me, I want you to stay with me as my wife forever." I apologized, saying, "Mickey, I'm sorry for ruining Angelina's engagement. She's your sister, after all." But Mickey hugged me tightly and reassured me, "Charlotte, you did nothing wrong." I stayed with my parents for a while, and Mickey moved my belongings to our new place. Soon after, we found a nice home and started a peaceful life together. Angelina and father-in-law tried calling us every day, but we blocked them. Mickey later told me that Angelina's engagement was called off. Randolph had been so shocked by her behavior that he said, "I need to rethink marriage," and then cut all contact with her. Angelina screamed and cried, blaming Mickey, but he calmly replied, "Charlotte just told the truth." Father-in-law, now desperate without anyone to do the housework, asked Mickey, "Can you bring Charlotte back?" Mickey firmly replied, "I'm cutting ties with this house." A few months later, I found out I was pregnant. Mickey was overjoyed and decided to leave his demanding job for a less stressful one, saying, "I want to raise our child together with you. We haven't told the in-laws about the baby and don't plan to. Their attitudes wouldn't change, so there's no reason to involve them in our happiness." Now, with my belly growing, Mickey and I are looking forward to welcoming our child. We're living peacefully, enjoying each day together.